Shalom and greetings, everybody. Brother Nicholas James Vanderlane here. Today is the 9th day of the 4th month on Elohim Zedek Priest Dead Sea Scroll Enoch solar calendar, which means that this is one of the 4 fasts. This is the fast that has to do with the siege that was laid on Jerusalem, the Babylonian siege. Today is the 28th day of June, 2019. This video is being broadcasted from Famagusta region of Cyprus. There has been a very recent uptick in UFO/white orb activity, and it led me into looking at the light orb that came in 2011 to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And I wanted to look at the date on that on the Enoch calendar. And I'm making this video to document possible significance, to give us some explanation on possibly what that event was. If you do a YouTube search for UFO, this is about from last week. I took a screenshot about 5 days ago. It was on CNN, where senators are receiving classified information on UFO sightings. It was distributed on CNN and Fox News, and there's footage from the U.S. Air Force of them locking in on these bright lights, these orbs in the sky. And then also in Trump's interview with George Stephanopoulos on ABC, George Stephanopoulos asked Trump if he believes in UFOs. This all happened in about the same week, so there has been an uptick in UFO activity. In the scriptures, it talks about the stars falling from heaven. Yahusha prophesied about it, and it's prophesied twice in the book of Revelation. And there might be even other locations of the stars falling from heaven. This is different than coals of fire that comes out during Yahweh's judgment. This is regarding the stars shall fall from heaven. Yahusha said, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. The powers of the heavens, we read about that in the book of Enoch. It is the angel Gabriel that has the power over the powers of heaven. Here in Revelation chapter 12, it talks about the red dragon, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And then in Revelation chapter 6, this is in the 6th seal, I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. Stars are not planets. As NASA, which means, the word NASA in the Hebrew means deceive, has made people to believe. But stars are what's called watchers, placed in the heavens according to Enoch. And also I'm going to share with you a video of what I would guess what stars falling to the earth might look like. So here's a video by this channel called The Stalker. And this is a pulsing star with their frequencies. He's going to zoom in on it. He probably has like a P900 or a P1. So that is a star, and this is what a star is. I've seen this before with my own eyes on my own camera. So an idea of what stars coming from heaven might look like, I would suggest this video, UFO Kansas City, August 19th, 2011. Now the video footage isn't that great because it's from 2011, but what I want to share with you in this video, and the language is really bad, so let me turn off this language, but there's a group of these stars or these light orbs that are here in the heavens, and they come down. Now this video is this video is a group of 2 guys that were driving and recorded this on the side of the road. And then this guy, a totally guy, not even related with these other guys, same thing in Kansas City, recorded the same event from a different vantage point of these bright lights, these orbs in the sky. So here goes this one on what they look like. And there were a group of them, he says, and then they grouped together right here, and then they kind of like, so they're driving. Bad footage here. I fast forwarded it here for you. And here it comes descending from heaven, and now they all break up. So they were up there, they scattered, the guy said, they all came together, they all descended, and now they're all breaking up, standing here, just hovering here, and they hover for some time right there, disappearing and doing weird movements and whatnot. And again, that same event of these white orbs was filmed in this video here. He just got a couple of them at the end on the same night. That's what I would imagine what the stars of heaven falling from earth are going to possibly look like. These are the watchers that are coming. In last week's news, there was also 2 orbs spotted in the skies in Kansas City. So that was in Kansas City 2011. There's also more orbs in Kansas City here, these flying objects that hit the news that this guy filmed right here, these 2 bright lights up here, and that was something interesting to take a look at. They're just hovering there, and there were planes sent, kind of near the flight path of these orbs. Not only did he do one video here, he did a second one here to follow it up just to document it. And this got my attention because I heard about the stuff in the news with Congress being briefed, or the Senate being briefed about these UFO things from the government. And then I saw the headline in the news about Trump. And then on the first day of the 4th month, the Festival of Noah, which is also the Festival of the New Month, it's the same day that Yahweh showed up with 2 angels, Malachim, and appeared to Abraham. And they appeared to him at his tent in Mamre, under the oak tree there. And then later they went on to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. So it just so happened on that day that these 2 watchers showed up in the sky here on the earth. I thought that was kind of interesting. And that led me to remember the sighting of the watchers that came down to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem back in 2011. So this bright orb visited the Temple Mount, which I believe is the fortress Antonia. It's not the real temple. I've already proven. I believe the location of the temple is up on Mount Zion. It hovered above the Dome of the Rock, and then it went up. Looking at that event, it was real, because there was like 4 different cameras, 4 different types of groups of people filming it. See here, CBS picked it up 8 years ago and published this information on one of their nightcasts. And a lot of people forgot about it. And now that we have the real calendar, it's calibrated correctly, where the calibration on how to calibrate the calendar, I've explained the rules. It brings a perfect 364-day calendar year every year, and also accounts for the 365th day that was removed from the calendar when Job cursed the day that he was born, which is the sign of the great, which is the great sign on the earth, which is the sign of the spring equinox. So now that we have the calendar, I go, well, I want to take a look at what date, because it was on the first day of the 4th month that I came to this understanding. I was like, when the 2 UFOs in Kansas City showed up, or the white orbs, I should say, I wanted to look at this event on the calendar to see if there was a significant memorial for this event. And I happened to look at this on the calendar, and I'm going to go ahead and prove it to you. And it did. So let's go ahead and first take a look at this event. This is a couple of Israelis filming it from a pretty far vantage point away. And here is the orb here. And here's the Dome of the Rock. And it's hovering here, and it comes down, and it descends.
Whoa! יש קבוצה שלמה שם, תראה.
So this same event was documented by, it looks like this Christian tourist group here. This clip taken on Dome of the Rock was taken by a tourist on a late night tour of Jerusalem on January 28th, 2018 at 1 o'clock in the morning on January 28th, which means that this is the way that the calendar works. The day begins at sunrise So this is actually the day before, and I'll explain that on the calendar coming up. But let's go ahead and take a look at the footage that they got.
Yeah, because you're in therapy. You're in therapy. I'd say that too. Yeah, absolutely. I think tonight would be lovely, but is that a UFO? Amazing. Holy shit. Oh, is that cool? You can almost hardly look at it. We've seen them in Mississippi like this, but never like never like that.
So if you take that, there's been other videos out here. This person right here compiled all 6 videos of this visitation, that you would call it, of this event, and basically they proved from all the different vantage points that this was actually real footage. This was not a hoax. And then same thing here, they did a critical analysis of the UFO on Jerusalem, which is just a light orb on Jerusalem, and their conclusion was it was a real event as well. And I lean to believe that too, that it was a light orb that came down. In 2011, the spring equinox was on March 21st at 1:20 a.m. in the morning. And because it was on the 21st, that means that the equinox, the day of the great sign, would have been March 20th at sunrise to March 21st at sunrise. So March 21st would have been the first day of the first month. And that is exactly what it was like this year. March 21st was the first day of the first month. So this calendar, even though it says 2019, the pattern of the days in this calendar, because there's no leap day this year, it's going to be the same. And when we go ahead and take a look at January 27th, to find out if there was a memorial event, what I did, I took all the memorials from all of the scriptures, Western canon, Eastern canon, non-canon books, Dead Sea Scrolls, Old 1611, and I found all the dates that I could possibly find and put them on the calendar to work it out, excluding the book of Esther. Esther was not found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. And here's January 27th, and it was the day that Noah sent the raven out to search for dry earth and the dove out to look for dry ground. And I just thought that's something that he sent out the raven and he sent out the dove to search. And when you search, you have to use your eyes to see. And what did we have in that event here? We have the watcher, or a watcher, coming down, descending on the Dome of the Rock. Here it is descending down, hovering over the Dome of the Rock. It moves just a little bit, and then it vanishes.
Whoa!
And is gone. It kind of reminded me of Yahushua's account when he said about Hasatan that he saw Satan fall like a bolt of lightning from heaven. And what did you see there? It flashed right away and then it went up, which is kind of interesting. That's one of the scriptures associated that I thought about. And then also, I thought about Yahushua's second ascension. Yes, Yahushua had 2 ascensions. The day after his resurrection, he ascended. And then after he was seen for 40 days and 40 nights, he ascended a second time into heaven. And it says that he was taken up and a cloud received him out of their sight. And they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, and beheld 2 men stood by them in white apparel. And that was something to consider about how Yahushua, how he ascended up. So you saw how that light ascended up. So I imagine somewhere along the scriptures doesn't give us the account that he transfigured into light when he ascended. But what we do have is Paul's encounter with Master Yahushua, and it was a bright light from heaven. So here in the book of Acts, this is Luke's record right here, that Luke wrote the book of Acts, and Luke here is recording Saul's conversion. And then here we have Paul in Acts chapter 20, in Acts chapter 26, Paul twice, at two different occasions, where he gives his testimony of his conversion. And here in Acts chapter 9, verse 1, as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, Saul, and suddenly there shined around about him a light from heaven, and fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest me? And when he said, Who art thou, Master? And the Master said, I am Yeshua. And that word is Yod, Shin, Vav, Ayin. As same here, the name of the right hand. Yod, Shin, Vav, Ayin. Okay, Yahusha's name, which is on our right hands, hallelujah. And that is the name of recorded in the Aramaic, is Yeshua. Now his name is also Yahusha, or Yahushai, which is the name of the branch found in Zechariah. And also another variation of the long form of his name is Yahushua, found in the book of Joshua. Okay, Yahusha himself. Okay, so now again here, this is Paul's, both of his accounts of his own. And it came to pass, as I made my journey, and was come unto Damascus about noon, suddenly there shone from heaven, so it came from heaven, a great light. So a light shone from heaven round about me, and I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And I answered, Who art thou, Master? And he said unto me, I am Yeshua of Nazareth, whom thou persecutest. And they that were with me saw indeed the light. So they all saw the light, and they were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. So why didn't they hear the voice? Because the voice was directed only to Saul. He only called Saul's name. Saul, Saul, why do thou persecutest me? And again, here is it again. Whereupon I was at Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priests at midday, about noon, at midday. O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven, and above the brightness of the sun shining round about me, and with them and them which journeyed me. So the light, they also saw the light, and we were all fallen to the earth. And I heard a voice speaking unto me, saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? So in the Hebrew tongue, for it is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And I said, Who art thou, Master? And he said, I am Yeshua, whom thou persecutest. So here he says, Yahusha says in the Hebrew tongue. And we know that the word, so Yahusha, he likes to use his own, when Yahusha speaks his own name, he uses it in the Hebrew tongue. The Aramaic word for Yeshua is the same word for Yeshua in the Hebrew. So we should be using the Hebrew tongue. He prefers the Hebrew tongue for his name, not Jesus, which is still, what we know is acceptable, but it's not, it removes the understanding of who he is. Same thing with Jesus in the Greek. But he wants to go by his Hebrew name. And we want to do what's pleasing to our master. So we should follow his example that he sets for us. So he was spoken to in the Hebrew tongue. Paul spoke Greek. He spoke Aramaic. He obviously spoke Hebrew because he heard the Hebrew. Okay? Who knows what other languages he spoke as well. So with that being said, it was about midday. That's usually the midday prayer, but it doesn't say that they were praying when this thing happened. So we see this great light that came from above. And there's other examples in the scripture of this light. And we know that Ha-Satan, he imitates himself as an angel of light. Could this have been Ha-Satan getting a sneak peek on what is going to happen? I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. But could that have been Ha-Satan coming down, descending as a star like lightning? Because it did that flash right before it took up. Could this be what Yahusha saw? Is this going to repeat itself later on when Ha-Satan is cast out to the earth? We'll find out. But I wanted to just share this with you and document this understanding. So I'm signing off here from Famagusta region of Cyprus, and shalom.